With the location of the Elder Scrolls 6 being all but confirmed as Hammerfell and possibly other areas in Tamriel as well, I thought it would be fun to learn about the various factions that live in the province of Hammerfell. My name is Troy Harrison Chriest. Leave a like, subscribe, and let's start this one off with the most prominent group in the Alik'r Desert. I am, of course, talking about some of the most feared fighters in all of Tamriel, the Alik'r Warriors. These scimitar-wielding Red Guards are home to the northernmost part of Hammerfell in the largest desert in all of the lands. We don't know much about the cryptic Dunesmen, but we do know that they are definitely not welcome in Skyrim. Here we have a bit of the feud in this line. The Whiterun Guard says, "Turn around and go back the way you came." The Alik'r Warrior says, "We're causing no trouble. All we ask is to look for her." The Whiterun Guard says, "I don't care what you're doing after what happened. You're lucky I don't toss you in jail. Now get lost." The second Alik'r Warrior says, "We will be back. This is not over." What I believe this quote is referencing is when the Red Guards pushed the Skyrim conquerors out of eastern Hammerfell during the end of the Third Era. We might still see remnants of this storyline in the Elder Scrolls 6. It could be featured in cities that border Skyrim, like Dragonstar and Alik'r. That is really all we know about the Alik'r Warriors, so let's move on to another group. The second faction that I think we will see is the Empire, or the Imperials. Although at the end of the Great War, the Empire withdraws from Hammerfell after signing a peace treaty with the Imperial Dominion and giving them a southern part of Hammerfell. The fact that the Empire left the native Red Guards of Hammerfell to fight off the Imperial Dominion by themselves is one of the main reasons we still see bitterness between the two groups to this day, and we will most likely see it in the Elder Scrolls 6. So at the end of the Fourth Era timeline, which is all we have to go on, is the Empire is weak and heads back to Cyrodiil. The Red Guards push the Imperial Dominion out of Hammerfell, and I think the Empire will return to once again try and conquer the great desert that they lost in the Great War from the Red Guards, who have finally taken back their homeland. I do not believe the Thalmor or the Imperial Dominion will be a joinable faction, but that would be very fun to see. Anyways, they are out of Hammerfell. Maybe they will also make a bitter return, like the Empire might as well. The end of the Fourth Era seems a little bit too peaceful to set an Elder Scrolls game in, so I would expect people like the Imperial Dominion and the Empire to come back and try and conquer Hammerfell once again. The next two factions will definitely be in the Elder Scrolls 6, as they are the two armies who have clashed in Hammerfell for eras. This would be the Crowns and the Forebears. This original conflict marks the start of the Second Era. In the year 862, High King Thasad II died of natural causes. This left the province of Hammerfell plunged into a bloody civil war between the Crowns and the Forebears. Let's start with the Crowns. They are the descendants of the noble Na Totambus who ventured to Hammerfell after the Ra Gada. The Crowns paved the way following the sinking of Yokuda, which used to lie to the west of Tamriel and was once the homeland of the left-handed elves and Red Guards. The majority of the continent sank into the sea during the First Era in the year 792. To this day, the cause of the catastrophe is still debated among Elder Scrolls fans. We do not know what sunk Yokuda, and maybe one day we will get a game that focuses on that specific event. After Yokuda, the Crowns originally inhabited the city of Sentinel in Hammerfell. The death of the king resulted in a civil war between the Crowns and the Forebears, with the Forebears led by Baron Volog and the Crowns being led by their heir of Thasad, Prince Ator. Though originally being beaten by the Forebears, the Crowns crushed them when they reformed and fought back, pushing the Forebears back across the Alik'r Desert. After the Crown's victory, the Forebears had to sign a treaty with Tiber's Septum in exchange for Legion forces to help them fight off the Crowns. Prince Ator of the Crowns was eventually defeated in the Battle of Hunding Bay, leaving the Forebears victorious. These factions would remain at feud over the years until the end of the Fourth Era, but now let's talk about the start of the Forebears. This quote from the unveiled Azidia perfectly describes the early days of the Forebear faction. Here is the quote. First, they landed at Agathe, where they freed themselves from the affliction of the Beast people. Then they spread both ways along the coast, seeking out goodly harbors and a well-watered oasis. What they are referencing is when the Forebears moved to Agathe, they conquered the native Argonians and Khajiit, which are referred to as Betmer or Beast people. Their people then spread down each coast towards Ghislaine in the east and Sentinel in the west, where they came across the Crowns, who had already established a home in Sentinel. During the Third Era, after beating most of the Crowns, the Forebears actually asked their rival Crowns for help against the invading Nords. The Crowns rejected to help, and the cities of Dragonstar and Alik'r were conquered by the people of Skyrim. The conflict between the factions continues until the Fourth Era, when the Imperial Dominion has taken control of most of Hammerfell. After the Second Treaty of Strass Mackay, the Empire leaves Hammerfell in a war between the Dominion and the various Redguard factions. This 5-year war marks the return of power to the Redguards after beating the Imperial Dominion, as well as peace for the Crowns and Forebears, who had to team up to fight the invading forces. So to wrap this up, the Crowns, the Forebears, the Empire, the Imperial Dominion, and of course the Alik'r warriors will be the most important factions to the plotline of the Elder Scrolls 6. Besides that, I would expect factions that can be located in any part of Tamriel, such as the Thieves, Mage, and Fighters Guild, and hopefully the Dark Brotherhood as well. Alright, that is the end. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, because in my next few videos, I will be covering the factions of High Rock, because I think the Elder Scrolls 6 will feature more provinces than just Hammerfell. And also look forward to the history of Hammerfell, which I just started working on. Thank you all for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe. My name is Troy Harrison Chriest, and I'm out of here.